Hello friends. This week and next week I want to talk about stump speeches and soapboxes. Next week we're going to discuss stumps. You'll see they tie a little bit to Easter. But this week think about soapboxes. About a century ago, before we had corrugated cardboard, most products were shipped in wooden crates like a soapbox. Soapboxes were light enough to be easily handled in shipping, but they were strong enough to hold the weight of a person. So whenever someone wanted to share a message with a lot of people, they would take their soapbox to places where people normally gathered, on street corners, exit doorways of theaters or schools, or the gates of a large employer around quitting time. The person would climb up on top of their soapbox and tell about their product or message to anyone who would listen. Now, sometimes the soapbox projected a good product, that is, its message, and a good speaker, meaning both the product and the salesperson were good, but other times either the product or the messenger were not the best. Occasionally, both the message and the messenger were so bad that people walked right by trying to ignore it. But that could be hard if the person had a big enough soapbox. So I want you to think for a minute about modern day soapboxes, remembering that the soapbox is a platform for speaking into someone else's life. Our most prevalent soapbox today is social media. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, you name it. All those platforms are used to get messages into other people's lives. For me personally, it's been kind of nice to be able to get our messages out there, right? Of course, that assumes that the message that we tweet is worth our Twitter. So then what do you do when someone uses their soapbox or social media to say something negative about you or about someone else? What do you do when it's someone very close to you, maybe talking directly to you and saying you're no good? Or when you hear someone you thought was a friend talking about you behind your back? A couple of Sundays back, Stephanie shared a great song about this, about the many voices that we hear in life.
I keep fighting voices in my mind that say I'm not enough. And every single lie that tells me I will never measure up. Am I more than just the sum of every high and every low? Remind me once again just who I am, 'cause I need to know. Oh, you say I'm loved when I can't feel a thing. You say I'm strong when I think I am weak. You say I am held when I am falling short, and when I don't belong. Oh, you say I am yours, and I believe, oh, I believe what you say of me. I believe.
I should add that soapboxes have served a very good purpose in the distant and in the recent past. In an early 1990s election in the UK, John Major had very few resources compared to the hefty support that his opponent had from the stronger party. Instead of competing with slick advertising or attack ads, Major decided to go back to the old-fashioned, budget-friendly method of using a soapbox. In town after town, street after street, he used his soapbox to show voters that he had listened very carefully to the people. Whenever Major stood on his soapbox, people knew he had something worth listening to because he had been listening. Major not only won that race, but he received 14 million votes, which was the highest popular vote of a political party for any British election. You see, the problem isn't that our world has too many soapboxes or social media. The problem isn't that we have a lot of voices out there saying a lot of different things to you, for you, or about you. There's very little you can do about that. The real issue is how much we listen to those voices, especially over other voices in our lives, or the capital V voice of God. Some have become so dependent on what others say about them, even against them, that no matter what, they listen to those voices while they fall apart inside. Let's do better than that, friends. Instead of letting negative voices dominate our lives, let's do two things. Number one, practice tuning out negative voices. No matter how big their soapbox or how many followers they have, you don't have to be one. You don't have to listen. And number two, as Christians, as Christ Church, we must lead the way. Use our soapbox to put out positive messages. We must strive for more, give for more, expect more for the sake of others and ourselves. Really, soapboxes will always be a part of society. They may not always be a three-dimensional wooden crate strong enough to hold a person, but as long as human beings use our vocal cords and halfway decent grammar, thank you to our English teachers, soapboxes will be around in one form or another. So be careful what you listen to, and let's be careful in what we say. In fact, we should all work harder to ensure that all we say lines up with what God says. At the end of the day, what God says is more meaningful and much more enduring than any soapbox humans will ever create. Join us this Sunday for worship to hear what it is that God says to us.
The only thing that matters is everything you think of me. In you I find my worth, in you I find my identity. You say I'm loved when I can't feel a thing. You say I'm strong when I think I am weak. You say I'm held when I am falling short, or when I don't belong. Oh, you say I am yours, and I believe. Oh, I believe what you say of me. I believe. Taking all I have, and I'm laying it at your feet. You'll have every failure, God. You'll have every victory.